This week, I am in the throes of celebrating Halloween. Happy All Hallows Eve to everybody out there. I hope that you guys are doing something fun to celebrate. And of course, that means that tomorrow is All Saints' Day, which is typically a holy day of obligation. But because it falls on a Saturday this year, the USCCB has determined that it's not a day of obligation. But if you are able and your parish has a Mass, it would be a wonderful thing for you to get to Mass on Saturday. If you're busy with the kids and you got a ton going on and you only get to make it there on Sunday, that is okay because we actually will be celebrating that on Sunday. And so we're going to be kicking off November, the month of All Souls, when we think about all of our dearly departed. But it's also, at least for me and maybe for the rest of you guys, the sort of wake up call that the end of the year is coming. Like it goes like this. We have Halloween, and then I feel like we blink and it's Thanksgiving, and then we blink and it's Christmas. And so 2025 is on the home stretch here. And so, of course, this time of year always really gets me thinking. I start really considering, okay, so looking back, how has my year gone? Where am I based on my goals and what I had hoped for myself, and what things did I plan for that went well, and what things maybe didn't go so well, and what things that I didn't even anticipate or expect that have blessed me this year. And I've got some of all of the above. But as my husband and I were discussing this, we started looking forward to 2026 and kind of starting to make plans. What does the Lord want for our lives? Where is He calling us? What does He want us to do? Are there different programs or volunteer opportunities or things that we want to get involved in? And I have the problem of I get really excited about a lot of things and I want to do all the things. I want to sign up for all the volunteer opportunities. I want to write all the books. I want to be involved in every ministry. Like I want to do it all. And I recognize that as just one person, I'm not able. And obviously that's not what the Lord really wants for me either, because I'm not capable of doing all of that. So it got me thinking about what Christian discernment really looks like for those of us in our everyday lives. Now, of course, when we talk about discernment, a lot of times we're talking about discerning a vocation. And so, for men who are discerning the priesthood or women who are discerning religious life, that is a very, very formal process where you go through years and there's a lot of prayer and a lot of study, and there's this really like formally written out structured discernment process. Hopefully, if you are married, you've had a similar discernment experience before you married your spouse, dating and then an engagement, and you're doing preparation and praying and all of that. So, for these big things in life, I feel like we're pretty good about really making sure that we check in with God and we take our time and we make those decisions well. But what about all these other decisions and all these other things that we have to do throughout our life? How do we know what God is calling us to do? How do we hear His voice? How do we make decisions that are in line with God's will for our life? And so my first reminder for all of us is that we are called today to do exactly whatever our state in life requires. So that means that if you are married, then you are called to be faithful to your spouse. You are called to care for your children if you have children at home. If you have a job that is providing for your family, then you are called to show up at work and do your job to the best of your ability and continue to provide. Wherever you are, that just means the little things. So it's like if I wake up today, man, what does God want for me? Like He wants me to make sure that my kids have their lunch boxes when they walk out the door, and that there's dinner on the table tonight, that I'm there for them, that I'm taking care of them. Those are the things that He's asking of us. So sometimes we overthink it. But sometimes there are some pretty big decisions in our life that we have to decide, like signing up to do a new volunteer opportunity, or maybe changing jobs, or maybe even, having another child and growing your family, or making a decision to move somewhere else. Like all of these things are really big things that of course you can spend time in prayer. But sometimes we are not blessed with hearing God's word very clearly for us. There have been plenty of saints throughout the years. So it absolutely can happen who hear God's word like audibly, and they absolutely know and they have no question. God speaks to them in a way that they can hear and understand. But for the rest of us who are not blessed with that sort of communing with God, at least not yet, um, I have a really simple trick that I do that really brings me so much peace. And it requires a tremendous amount of trust in the Lord that I have said this before, and I will, I'm sure, share it again because it's one of my favorite quotes from St. Catherine of Siena, that you must believe in faith that whatever God wills or permits is for the sanctification of your soul. So I know that whatever the Lord is either willing in my life or permitting in my life, it is ultimately for my sanctification and for my good. And so it requires that trust that even if I make a decision, and even if it is, quote, the wrong decision, and it doesn't go the way that I expect it to, and it doesn't have the outcome that I expect, there is still good that can come out of it for the sanctification of my soul. And so what I choose to do is I pray. I ask advice of those I love, my faithful friends, my spouse, my spiritual director, other people in my life. I listen for God's will. And if I don't hear anything very clearly, my method is to choose what I want, which may seem very counterintuitive for us Christians trying to lead this holy, obedient life. But God has given us desires. Like everything that I want, all of the good that I want is from God. And so I tell him in prayer and I say, Lord, I'm really more excited about this option than that option. I'm more excited about trying this program instead of doing this program, or I really feel like my services would be better used at this volunteer opportunity instead of this volunteer opportunity. Whatever it is, I tell him what it is. And then I say, so until I hear from you otherwise, this is what I'm going to do. But if this is not your will for my life, then I ask you, I beg you, Lord, to just like slam that door shut and let it not work out for me. So then I move forward with whatever it is that my heart is drawing me to. And I walk in confidence, knowing that whether it turns out the way I want it to or not, God will use that good for the sanctification of my soul. But that if it really is the wrong choice, and if it's really not the Lord's will for me to do that, then I trust that he will put the right obstacles and the right barriers in my path so that it won't be accomplished. And until then, I can walk in confidence knowing that as long as I am honoring my state in life, making sure that I make time for the Lord and prioritize him in my life, taking care of my family, when it comes to those other things, I get to choose, and the Lord rejoices in that. So this week, and maybe this one will have to be one that you tuck away and remember in the future when you're dealing with a decision and trying to discern what the Lord's will is for your life with a particular situation. Just remember that he has given you your heart and your desires for a reason. And so if you aren't hearing something clear otherwise, then let the Lord know that you're going to go forward with what you want and what you believe is right, and trust that he will stop you if you're going in the wrong direction. That's all I have for you today. I'm Maria Riley, just a sinner in the throes of trying to be a saint.